Why does inequality persist in our societies despite the numerous advancements we have made? A question that has baffled many for centuries and continues to do so even today. As we delve into this issue, we find ourselves in a world that has made leaps and bounds in technology, social policies, and human rights. Yet the spectre of inequality continues to cast its long, dark shadow. The world has never been more connected, more informed, or more advanced than it is right now. We have put men on the moon, decoded the human genome, and are on the verge of achieving technological singularity. Our societies have progressed on fronts like gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and racial justice. Yet despite these remarkable strides, why does inequality persist? The answer, as we shall see, is not cut and dried. Let's take a closer look at the current state of inequality worldwide. According to the World Inequality Report, the richest 1% of the population now owns more than twice as much wealth as the poorest 50%. This disparity is not confined to wealth alone. It extends to areas such as education, healthcare, and opportunities, often creating a vicious cycle that is hard to break. Research also paints a stark picture. A report from the United Nations Development Programme reveals that despite significant reductions in extreme poverty, income inequality has increased in almost every region of the world over the past 4 decades. This is not a problem that is confined to the developing world. Even in developed countries, the gap between the rich and the poor is widening. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent real people, real lives. They are a stark reminder of the persistent divide that exists in our societies, a divide that prevents millions from realizing their full potential. As we embark on this exploration, it's important to remember that inequality is not just about the distribution of wealth. It's about power, opportunities, and justice. It's about the walls that divide us and the bridges we need to build. Inequality is not a simple issue, and it is deeply rooted in our societies. As we move ahead, we'll try to unravel the complexities of this issue, its causes, and its potential solutions. So stay tuned as we delve further into this pressing issue of our time. What are the driving forces behind the persistent inequality we observe? This question takes us to the heart of the matter. The roots of inequality are multifaceted, and understanding them requires us to delve into the realms of history, society, and economics. Discrimination is one of the foremost causes. It's a bitter truth that our societies have long been marred by biases based on race, gender, religion, or ethnicity. These biases often result in unequal access to opportunities, resources, and power. Think of the wage gap between men and women, or the systemic racism that has disadvantaged certain racial and ethnic groups for centuries. These are glaring examples of how discrimination fuels inequality. Next, we look at social structures. These are the ingrained societal norms and customs that dictate who gets what and why. For instance, in many parts of the world, the eldest son inherits the family wealth, leaving the daughters and younger sons at a disadvantage. Or consider the caste system in some societies, where one's social standing is predetermined at birth, creating a rigid hierarchy that's nearly impossible to climb. Finally, let's turn our attention to economic disparities. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's a phrase we've all heard, and it's not far from reality. Wealth tends to accumulate at the top. Those with more wealth have more opportunities to invest, take risks, and further increase their wealth. Meanwhile, those with less wealth often struggle just to meet basic needs, let alone invest in opportunities for upward mobility. Studies have shown that this wealth gap is widening, especially in the era of rapid technological advancement and globalization. All these causes intertwine, perpetuating a cycle of inequality that's hard to break. Discrimination feeds into social structures, which in turn reinforce economic disparities, and so on. It's a web of interconnected factors that together form the sprawling landscape of inequality. These causes are deep-seated and complex, making inequality a challenging issue to tackle. But don't lose hope just yet, as the next scene will explore whether this inequality is truly inevitable, or if there are ways we can level the playing field. Is inequality an inevitable part of human societies? This is a question that has been the subject of countless debates and studies. Some theorists argue that inequality is a natural part of human existence. They point to biological differences such as physical strength, intelligence, and talent, suggesting that these natural variations lead to inherent inequality. Others argue that social factors play a significant role. They suggest that societal structures, cultural norms, and economic systems are designed in a way that perpetuates inequality. However, these perspectives may not tell the full story. Let's delve into some research that sheds a different light on the matter. For instance, some anthropological studies suggest that early human societies were remarkably egalitarian. These societies shared resources and responsibilities evenly, suggesting that inequality isn't intrinsically wired into our biology or social interactions. Moreover, research in social psychology has shown that when individuals are given the opportunity to distribute resources, they often choose to do so equitably, indicating a natural inclination towards fairness. On the other hand, economic studies have shown that while some level of inequality might be inevitable due to differences in skills, talents, and efforts, extreme inequality is often a result of policies and structures that can be changed. For example, policies that favor the wealthy, such as tax breaks for the rich, can exacerbate inequality. On the other hand, policies that promote equal opportunity, such as investments in education and healthcare, can help reduce inequality. In essence, while biological and social differences may lead to some level of inequality, extreme inequality is not inevitable. It is often a result of choices made within societal structures and economic systems. So, is inequality an inevitable part of human societies? The answer is complex. While some level of inequality may be unavoidable, the extent of that inequality is largely within our control. While some argue that inequality is inevitable, others believe that it's possible to create a more equal society. Ultimately, the answer may lie not in whether inequality is inevitable, but in how we choose to address it. How can we reduce inequality and create a more balanced society? That's the question that's been buzzing around our heads, right? Well, the good news is, it's not an impossible task. Let's start with policy changes. Governments worldwide can play a major role by introducing progressive taxation and social protection policies. Take Nordic countries, for example. They've managed to maintain relatively low levels of inequality thanks to their comprehensive welfare systems and equitable distribution of wealth. Next, education. It's the great equalizer. It has the power to level the playing field. Countries like South Korea have demonstrated this. Once a low-income country today, it boasts one of the highest literacy rates in the world, thanks to its heavy investment in education. But it's not just about formal education. Promoting financial literacy, for instance, can empower individuals to make informed decisions about their money, reducing wealth disparities over time. Then, of course, there are social movements. These are the grassroots efforts that push for change from the ground up. The civil rights movement in the United States was a powerful force for racial equality. Today, movements like Black Lives Matter continue the fight against systemic inequities. As we see, there's no single magic bullet to eradicate inequality. It's a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. But the key takeaway is this: tackling inequality is a collective responsibility that requires concerted effort from all sectors of society. It's up to us to roll up our sleeves and get to work. Inequality is a complex issue that permeates our societies. We've delved into its roots, questioned its inevitability, and explored possible solutions. We've seen that causes are multifaceted, ranging from systemic structures to individual behaviors. The question of its inevitability is contentious, but what's clear is that we have the power to shape our societies. We've discussed strategies that can be employed to tackle this issue, but it ultimately boils down to collective action. It's up to us as a society to challenge and address inequality. Together we can create a more equitable world.